We're here today to respond to the concerns of people like you who are considering moving to Asheville, North Carolina. Is Asheville the perfect paradise portrayed in the magazines and TV shows? What are the potential deal breakers that you should know about? We recently made a video called Avoid Moving to Asheville If, and some of the comments on that video really shocked me. I was like, holy macaroni, this is crazy. While living in Asheville is exciting and fun, and our city offers fantastic experiences to locals and visitors, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. So today I'll talk about some of the greatest concerns of folks who are living in Asheville or moving to Asheville. And one of the top ones is the cost of living. Can I afford to live in Asheville? Will I be able to buy a house? And things like, I've seen people calling Asheville Trashville on social media. What's going on with that? What's up with the homeless in downtown? Is crime terrible in Asheville? How do locals interact with tourists? Are we welcome? Are we not? What's going on? And how's traffic? Finally, this is what I get every once in a while. Is Asheville too quirky for me? Or am I too quirky for Asheville? First, let's start with the cost of living. Asheville is expensive if you're moving from an area that is in less demand. Perhaps like Iowa. Nothing against Iowa, just an example. The cost of living here is higher than the national average by 6%. Yes, that's right, 6%. Housing, utilities, even visits to your healthcare providers are generally a little bit costlier than the state and nation's average. The high-end experiences, including dining out at those award-winning restaurants, can be expensive, but affordability, of course, is also relative. It just may be the price that we have to pay to live in such a wonderful place. And although locals may disagree with this statement, and there are many worries about the impact of tourism on the cost of living, more on that later. I'll get to that, don't worry. There's a lot of considerations we have to keep in mind. The Asheville Chamber of Commerce offers a tool so you can see the comparative cost of Asheville to where you live now. And I think it was updated last in 2022. And the cost of living index report that might be useful for planning your next steps is included there. And you can check the link in the video description down below for that. Now, let's face another complicated truth. The cost of housing in Asheville and how it's intertwined with tourism and gentrification. Asheville is experiencing what usually happens with other tourist places. Locals who have made the town really special and desirable can't always afford to live there anymore. So visitors love our artsy town, of course, and strolling around the River Arts District, for instance. But the artists who kind of created this magic and this ambiance are having a hard time affording to live where they created this beautiful work. Same in the service industry for people who are working there. I saw a meme on social media the other day said if the person who serves you dinner downtown can't afford to live here, it's not a real downtown. It's a playground for tourists. That might seem a bit bitter, but locals don't want Asheville to lose its unique identity and diversity to heavy tourism and a hefty marketing budget from the city. And they've done a really good job at this. And it's not gone yet, and there's lots of different ways we can keep it intact. We just have to be mindful about it. And there are really few affordable housing options here, and longtime residents have been displaced because of increased taxes and the cost of living and tourism, and this created gentrification and economic disparities. To give you an idea, when it comes to rent, Asheville consistently ranks as one of the most expensive places to rent in North Carolina. And home prices keep rising, and it doesn't look like they're going to slow down anytime in the near future. And it's good news for people who can afford to buy a house and are buying now, because for the most part, they have swift equity in their investment. And great news for people who have had a home here for a while, because as you can tell, it limits the affordability for people who are right on the line of being able to buy and not buy. Now, don't get me wrong, we love tourists. We want to share this area's beauty with them. And we also get to enjoy the perks of new businesses and restaurants popping up all the time. I mean, we could be tourists in our own city for ages. There's that much to do. But tourism, of course, has a significant impact on the housing market. Asheville ranks in 5th place for the number of Airbnbs per capita in North Carolina. When people think about Asheville, they think about Airbnb or short-term rentals, and that's where they stay when they come to town. There's a lot of them, and that definitely doesn't help the housing situation here. These contrasts are being addressed, and we hope that there will be more of a balance between the influx of tourists and the housing cost and availability in the near future. And if you end up moving here, you can bring some of your own creative ideas to the table and be a part of the solution. Now, let's talk about neighbors without houses living downtown. Yes, the term people without houses or unhoused people or unsheltered people is now preferred over the term homeless. This kind of dehumanizes them and their experience that they're going through. So we're using people first language because these are people's sons, daughters, sisters, brothers. These are real people who are having a really hard time. And first, let me tell you that most locals don't need to go downtown daily unless you work there. And there are people who choose to live there and can enjoy the urban vibe and the restaurants and the music venues and museums and bars and parks, all within walking distance. And downtown has beautiful condos with spectacular views that are in high demand. Not to mention the lively music and rooftop bars and lively social scene. There's so much to enjoy. So it's not a bad place to live at all. But to address the concern directly, yes, the number of people living on the streets in downtown Asheville has increased since the pandemic. The corridor of shelters and churches and organizations that help assist them with food and services is downtown. That's how they get around. I mean, that's the central location. So naturally, you'll see them. And they're usually gathered in specific areas near the shelters because that makes sense. However, the number of unsheltered people is a growing national problem nationwide. And it's not just exclusive to Asheville. The causes are deep and complex, and I'm not an expert by any means, nor have the answer. These folks often have untreated mental illnesses or severe drug and alcohol addiction, sometimes caused by the need to self-medicate. And of course, financial circumstances are also playing into the mix. The general advice, like any city, and we are a city, even though we feel like a big town, we are a city with a downtown, is to be aware of your surroundings, just like you would in any other city. So after dark, don't walk in a dark alley. Don't engage in a confrontation or start one at all. And I mean, most of the time, nothing really happens. But sometimes things have. And it's just smart to be smart and know your surroundings and to have your wits about you. So, I mean, of course, you can also be a part of the solution to this problem. Asheville has tons of nonprofits that work with unsheltered people. And they offer temporary shelter and transitional housing and solutions like building a tiny village of little houses to house them. And then there's cafes and churches which serve great food to whoever needs it, and food pantries and organizations that provide free mental health services. And like many involved Ashvillians, you could work in the community and be a part of the change that you want to see in the world. And remember that kindness and acceptance and compassion make Asheville a wonderful place to live. That's why we love it, right? And which, on the other hand, some people say is exactly why unsheltered people come to live here and come to be here, is because we offer them resources and assistance. People also worry about the correlation between the increase in unsheltered people and crime. And while I cannot answer that concern, because I'm not an expert on that, you can come up with your own conclusions by going to and checking a map where you can see the crime rates in different areas of Buncombe County and Asheville, and also the types of crimes that are committed. So there seems to be a lot of misconceptions about the crime rate in Asheville on platforms like Reddit. And then when my clients arrive here and we meet and they have spent a weekend downtown or they're staying downtown, they take a stroll around and they look for all the horrible things that they've read about, and they come up short and they ask me and they're like, wait a minute, hold on, I thought they were going to be like needles everywhere and crime on every corner and just craziness everywhere, and we haven't found it. What's up with that? And I'm like, yeah. You gotta look and see with your own eyes. So we did a video showing all of downtown in night and in day, on the weekends, on a weeknight, for this reason, so you can see what it looks like with your very own eyes. I mean, we didn't go out there and stage the people or like clean up the streets or anything like that. So if you want to check out that video, what it looks like to be downtown, check it out here. Trust me, when you come to Asheville, it's definitely not the vibe that you're reading about online. Also, like most places in the country, Asheville faces the challenges of structural racial disparities and social inequality. Asheville City Schools, for example, has only 13% of Black students in the same grades that were considered proficient in reading compared to 75% of white students. We also don't really have a large Black population here, only 7% reported and dwindling. Communities have been separated by expansion and urban renewal, and this has caused a lot of Black families to lose their opportunity for generational wealth through home ownership. Again, there are great nonprofits who are working hard to break this cycle. And one of the cool things about Asheville too is they have agreed to reparations. So you can follow along with reparations and what's happening in Asheville at the link down below, and you can support them by donating your time or money or both. Now, let's move on to traffic. There are pretty much not a lot of traffic jams here. Asheville's grown fast, it's true, and it's been a challenge to maintain the infrastructure. Asheville's also a trendy tourist destination, and during peak season, you'll likely face some traffic congestion and challenges, especially on I-26 going south, around, rush hour, like 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It's really an hour. And when people visit here from other cities, they poke fun at what we call traffic. But locals still like to hem and haw about it and complain, of course, because we have to have something to complain about. Also, something that folks consider a disadvantage is that Asheville doesn't have an international airport. Again, we're a small city. So while the airport is being reformed to accommodate the city's fast growth, it's not uncommon to experience some parking problems or sometimes some flight delays during the peak travel times. In fact, they're in the process of adding another parking garage right now in time for the holiday influx of visitors. But overall, the Asheville airport's been a breeze for me to get in and out of. First of all, it's like really tiny. It's not big at all. And then there are really short lines and things moved pretty quickly. And plus, it's only 20 minutes south of downtown. Finally, is Asheville too quirky for you? Are you too quirky for Asheville? Are you gonna fit in? Are you weird enough? Well, we do welcome weirdness here in Asheville, as you probably know, and we welcome authenticity. And the people who embrace you, who you really are the people that you want to hang out with anyway, right? So that's one of the reasons it's such a friendly and creative and caring community. One of our slogans is Keep Asheville Weird, and many of us have been super successful at that, although there's always room for improvement. And while it's true that Asheville's quirkiness and quickness is often identified with an alternative bohemian culture, and they like to stereotype us as hippies, Asheville's quite diverse, and there are many different groups of people from all walks of life. There are many highly educated, traditionally or untraditionally, like maybe alternatively educated individuals who have had a wide range of life experiences. So, if you are at a dinner party, you will probably not be having a really boring conversation. People here embrace their hobbies as well, and often people have knowledge of a wide array of subjects, and by the end of the night, you may finish up talking with someone for hours and never even broach the topic of what they actually do to earn money. Our passions here run deep, and our conversations do as well. Also, Asheville's been described as a liberal bubble and a red state. Actually, we might be purple now, I'm not exactly sure. But, of course, this is what we know is the predominant political view, and the truth is there are people here of all backgrounds. You have to find your people in the area that's best for you and your level of quirkiness, tolerance, and all the things. And if you want to learn more about different neighborhoods and areas you might really like and where you want to live, hit the subscribe button and click the bell, and you'll be alerted every time we make new videos that you're probably already interested in. And if you're gonna come to town to check it out to see if this is a place that you want to move, then get in touch. The links are right down below, and we'll set you up with your own Asheville homework, which is really just like a personalized self-guided tour based on your preferences and your needs and your timeline. We love doing it, it doesn't bother us at all, and it really helps people when they're considering moving here. For example, West Asheville and downtown may not be your best fit if you want a pastoral ambiance and a quiet life that's surrounded by nature. You might feel lost between the bars and the tattoo shops and the busy streets and the live music, but other areas like Mills River might be perfect for you. So check out these videos for towns around Asheville as well, so you can find your cup of tea and stay tuned. We're adding more every day. Until then, ciao for now.